And we're just talking now. We're just having a conversation.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I think we are live. Holy cow. Sorry about the delay. You know, tech difficulties. It just happens. Hi, Larissa. Yay. Larissa's here with us. So make sure you guys introduce yourself in the chat box. You should see a chat box on the side of your screen. You can type in, let us know your name and where you live. We want to hear from you. I'm so glad our tech difficulties was you couldn't hear me. So, I mean, Sandi's the star of the show, so that it would have been okay, but it might have been a little difficult to have a conversation like we promised. So
It would have been a little odd to be talking to myself.
Exactly, yes. It's way more fun when we're doing this together, right?
It is, for sure.
Yay. Hi, Larissa. This is so awesome. So Larissa came to Bali with us last year, and she's in Washington, where I grew up. So we want to hear. I see that we have Rachel and Susan on. So say hello, Rachel and Susan. Let us know where you live. We'd love to hear from you in the chat box. And while you guys are doing that, I just want to say how grateful I am that everybody is here. We're going to make this really interactive. And I am just so excited to be chatting with Sandi and grateful that you volunteered to do this. Because like I've been saying in all of my messaging, I know how scary it can be to like share your transformation and share your story. And I also know how powerful it is for other people to get inspired by what each and every one of us has experienced. In my eyes, that's how we learn and grow the fastest, is through connection to each other's stories. So I'm so grateful, Sandi, that you're here and we're having this conversation about how you not only found bliss in Bali, but how you have gone through just a beautiful transformation. It's almost been a year since we got back from Bali. Holy cow. So I'm just excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for, my wild, random idea. Let's do this. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's so awesome. It takes so much like vulnerability to even say that. I mean, even me, each time I'm doing one of these webinars, it's like, okay, do I really want to share that? Like you just, it's like a tender place, but we're going to create a safe space here so that you can share what you feel inspired to share, and then don't share what you don't feel inspired to share.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wild ride, but I'm excited. I'm excited to be here and just chat and hopefully share something that inspires someone to be able to take whatever leap of faith is right for them.
Yay, awesome. Okay, so Susan and Rachel would still love to hear from you, and then whoever else is joining us. We don't want to wait for too long, but again, just really, our conversation, we want it to be interactive. I know Sandi loves interactive too. She does amazing workshops where she supports people, and we'll be talking a little bit about what she does. So I'm guessing you like interactive too, Sandi.
I do. Interactive versus just, talking about what I want to talk about. I want to answer questions and be able to.
Totally. All right. Well, as everybody's coming in, yeah, just feel free to chime in and let us know if you have any questions or if you have an aha or something that you want to share. I know my intention for this webinar is to really, first and foremost, love Sandi up because I adore her, and to really help you guys see that anything is possible in your own life if you really want it bad enough, and that you're not alone. I think those are my two intentions, is that connecting in story like this is really a reminder that we don't have to do this transformation alone, no matter what we're going through, no matter what journey we're on, and to remind you that you can live your full potential if that's really what you desire. So Do you have an intention, Sandi, for this time together?
No, I think that's a big thing that you just mentioned, is that, you know, I've always been that independent person. I'm going to do it on my own, and really leaning into the experience in Bali and embracing the sisterhood that you created was amazing for me. So yeah, that's a huge intention, is just to be able to share that we're not meant to do this alone, and we're meant to create connections and lean on each other and ask for help and have that little bit of vulnerability, and so it's good.
Yeah, I love that, because that's definitely been like one of my biggest things, is that same with you, right? We're like independent, we can do this, like, you know, I shouldn't need anybody's help. And so for me, it's like, that's been one of my transformations too, is constantly reminding myself, I don't have to do this alone. Like, sure, I probably could, and it's not going to happen as fast as if I had people who had my back, and it's not going to feel as good.
Right.
You know, like, I'm either going to burn out or just feel lonely. Like, you know, we're meant to do things together in community as humans. So I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. So so my intention for this call is really to begin sharing my story. That's been a big thing that keeps coming up for me in my meditations, is that it's time. It's time for me to lean into sharing how I got to where I am today, and how I'm growing my business that I'm so passionate about, and I'm creating the life in every detail that I love. And sharing is not something that I've normally done, not something that I'm necessarily afraid to do. I've just always had the thought, like, why would anyone want to know what I'm doing? Like, it's not a big deal. But I think so many of us feel that way, and yet we're so intrigued by each other's stories in life in general. And so leaning into the intention of sharing and being open and honest, and, you know, sharing the good, bad, and the ugly of what it takes even today. While I'm super grateful for the life that I'm creating, I still have rough days. I still have, you know, those times of self-doubt, and I just want to curl up and have a mental health day and give myself permission to feel. And I ride through them a lot faster when I allow myself to feel.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yay. Your mom's here, Susan. Hello, Susan. And then we have Rachel on, who I'm not sure who that is. So Rachel, hopefully you will chime in too, and then we can get to know you. So we are a small group right now, but that is okay. That is totally okay. You know, the people who are meant to be here are meant to be here, and then the others who register will watch the replay. So hi, Susan. Hi. Wonderful. Okay, so you guys now know our intentions for this time together, and I really want to start it off by letting you know, from my perspective, how amazing Sandi is. So her and I, our backstory of how we originally met is we were part of a public speaking course. And I just remember like feeling super connected to her. And I know she said the same thing about me, mostly for her like strong quietness. So she has this like amazing presence of, she's really clear what she wants to do in the world. And I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that, because she explains it in a much more beautiful way than I do. But what Sandi is really passionate about, and you can just feel it like oozing out of her, is having each person live from their own set of core values and really helping them discover like what those are. And she does that mainly in the school district here and globally, eventually, I'm sure. And we both live in Las Vegas. So for me, Sandi is just one of those people that is living out her big, meaningful dream. Like, she is just so dedicated to what it takes to get there, and so trusting in the process, which I think we can all learn a little bit more from. I know I can. You know, we have these dreams of what we want to achieve in our life and how we want to feel. And so many times that's the hardest part, is like trusting it and keep like continuing to move forward. So that is what I admire about Sandi and love about her. So Sandi, I'll let you kind of explain anything more that you want everybody to know about you and the work you do in the world.
Yeah, our public speaking course. Wow, when was that? It feels like
a long time ago. When 2011?
11 or 12?
12 maybe? Yeah.
It feels like forever ago.
It does.
I always forget. Like I have a whole mental block of a whole decade. I forget the 2000 to 2010. Like I forget that was a thing. Like first 10 years of my child's life, not a big deal. Yeah, that public speaking class was huge for me, like as a spark, not only in meeting you and our journey, but just in really opening up. But that was what I didn't know then, is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. And being able to fast forward to the place that I was at when I was in a follow-on class with Alexia, her Influencer Academy, and setting intentions for that class. And I believe it was, I forget what month that was. I'm totally turned around on months. Anyways, dates don't matter. I set the intention that I wanted to go to Bali in 2016 and literally wrote it. And I think it was within a day or less that I got an email from you, Jess, saying, I'm planning a trip to Bali. I'm like, what? Were you just watching? What were you doing? Making in on what I'm writing? And it was like, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do this. No idea how I was going to pay for it. In the middle of a divorce. Not sure what was going to happen with being away from my son for that long and all of these different details. But my original intention to go to Bali was to go to the Vision Villas retreat, which is all about wealth dynamics, leadership training, talent dynamics, all of that. And so that was why Bali was even on my radar. And then leaning into why I really needed to go after our conversations and talking about what I really wanted out of it, and researching more about Bali and all of that was just amazing. And being in a place in my company where I was struggling and I wasn't sure if I was even on the right path, and knowing that how I even got to that place, how I even got into the public speaking class in the first place, and I'm bouncing around, but going to working for Delivering Happiness for Tony Hsieh, and I was running internal culture and internal operations. And during that time, an opportunity kind of came up for me to speak, and I wanted to, and I did it, but I felt horrible and it was awful. And so then went to Alexia's public speaking class and met you, Jess. And as I was with Delivering Happiness, and schools were reaching out saying, I want to be happy like Zappos too. And I started volunteering my time with schools, trying to teach them how to create positive culture. And wanting to speak, and going through a divorce, and it was just so much all at once. And meanwhile, my grandmother passing away. Meanwhile, like, life was just happening so fast, and all seeming to happen to me, and nothing seemed to fit. And I just, even though on the outside it looked like I had it all together and, you know, things were going okay, on the inside, I just wasn't happy. I knew that there was something bigger that I was meant to do in this world, and I was meant to be happy and peaceful and present in every part of my life. And I just wasn't. I was going through the motions, and I was driving, and I was, you know, in that hard intention, masculine energy that I'm so, you know, good at and comes so easily to me. And at the same time, really just finding this place of, okay, I need to leave Delivering Happiness, and I need to follow my passion and focus on transforming the culture in our schools. And I need to get out of my marriage, and I need to, you know, so it was like this sequence of huge life events of, okay, I'm taking a leap of faith to grow this company. And in the first 2 years, it was tough. I wasn't making much money at all. I'm living off of my savings. I'm not sure if I'm even meant to do this work. I'm, you know, questioning everything. And, you know, then you throw on the personal at the same time. So Bali really was such a clarifying experience for me, just such a pivotal point in my life. And hindsight, obviously, you see it a lot more. But in the moment I knew I needed it, I just didn't know how bad.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh, even hearing you like share, I just got chills because I know your story, but it's like just hearing you share, I can really feel how much happened, right? Just within that period of time. And it's like so often, like we say, right, when it like rains, it storms. And these transformations are oftentimes that big just to get us to take a big leap, like, you know, go on a transformational retreat to Bali or to start following your big meaningful dreams or, you know, whatever it is. So I'm curious because you said like you knew that you were supposed to do something more. So I'm curious, how did you know that? Because people are always asking me this. They're like, Jess, I feel something, but how do I know if it's real or it's just like kind of this like dream? So I'm curious your perspective on that.
For me, it was always like that in my soul kind of feeling of I'm meant to do something big in this world. And I think even back to being a child, and I started college pre-med. And
you did? Oh,
wow. Yeah, I started college pre-med, and freshman year of college was rough. Followed a boy to college. That ended up breaking up, as well as not really knowing how to study or being prepared. And by my sophomore year, just realizing if I find out about another microorganism in the world, I'm going to be a bigger germaphobe than ever, and I just can't do this. Realizing what I loved was emergency medicine, and I loved, you know, helping others, and I loved it. So I think for my whole life, I've had that deep desire to help others and to give back and, you know, be a part of something bigger in the world. And so it's, I guess if I were to describe it for someone else, if it's that nagging thing that is constantly just there, no matter what, it just doesn't go away. That's truly what it's been for me. And even when I got into real estate in 2003, it was literally the reason I got into real estate was so that I could stay home with my son and my husband would stop hounding me about money, and we could move into the right school zone for my son to go to school. And so it literally was not, it was a logistical decision. And so doing it, I did well. It was easy. The market was great, obviously, so that helped. But really just started thriving. And then throughout my real estate career, just constantly going, God, I need to be part of something bigger. I need to be part of something bigger. And then meeting Tony Hsieh through real estate and becoming friends, and him actually starting Delivering Happiness, the company based on his book, and me saying, hey, happy to help, volunteer, whatever. At that point, I'm just, this is absolutely like my world. Even meeting him was like, yeah, this is cool to see someone who sees something so much bigger than I've ever even dreamed. And then even at Delivering Happiness, it was like, all right, this is like part of what I'm thinking, but not really. Like, I'm still struggling. I don't feel like I'm in the right role. And even though I can do operations, I can do those things, it wasn't my natural flow, my natural place to be. And then bringing in working with kids and working with educators, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is it. And it just fell into place in random sequence of events. I mean, there's no way that I would have ever been able to plan that in my life, to go, oh, okay, this is the sequence of random events that's going to occur for you to get to your big meaningful dream and actually create this company that's so purposeful and that you're so passionate about creating. I had to get to a place of allowing the process to happen and being present in each step of the way. But I didn't even realize that in the times that I was most allowing and most grateful for what I had is when, you know, transitions happened more naturally and easily versus me forcing them.
Yeah. Wow. So a few things that I heard in there is that, number one, it's like you kept feeling it, like it didn't go away, right? Like feeling like there's something more, there's something different. So for anybody listening, maybe you have that nagging feeling just that there's something more and maybe you don't know what it is. So it's like that repetition. I totally agree with that. Oh man, and it'll make you crazy, right? Even if you don't know what it is, like you got to trust that that repetition is a sign that there's something different for you to be doing. And then did you have something you wanted to say, Sandi, to that?
Nope, go ahead.
And then the second thing that I heard was that you just kind of kept doing what brought you joy, right? It was like you just kept doing it and you didn't really know exactly what it was going to lead to, but like as I teach and as we discovered in Bali, right, that is your desire. Like you're following your desire, like what feels good. And then also kind of trusting that ripple of events, like the different opportunities that were coming up. So maybe for the people listening, there's just like these weird little signs, right? Of like, you have maybe been thinking that you want to, I don't know, become a coach, right? I'm a coach. So for me, like coaches just started popping up in my life. And I'm like, what is this all about? Like I never had friends who were coaches. And all of a sudden, like one year, the year that I decided to become a coach, all these coaches just popped out of nowhere. It's the weirdest thing. And even when I did an event before I was really coaching, I'd met a girl who was going to be part of it. Virtually, I'd met her. And then I was at a coffee shop telling another person about her. And this woman behind me and the person having coffee says, hi, Jess, that's me. And I'm like, oh my God, like I hadn't met you in person yet. And so, so that was Kelly Bennett. I don't know if you know Kelly Bennett here.
Plug in.
Sandi, but she, so she's a coach. And it was just like people kept popping up. So for those of you listening, I think that's really key to like trust those signs. Maybe you don't know what it's all about, but even just like Sandi mentioned, she had wrote the intention down that she wanted to go to Bali, to go to the Vision Villas, which is very business oriented. And then here I was in Las Vegas, somebody who just happened to decide to create a Bali retreat. And people always ask me why I chose Bali, and I truly don't know. It was one of those things where it was just like, I felt that nagging of like, ding, it's Bali. You got to go to Bali. I knew, the only thing I really knew about Bali is that it was a very spiritual, beautiful island. That was about it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So then when Sandi like followed that, like, oh my gosh, okay, I want to go. And now here's Jess who's doing it. So just saying that to remind all of us that those signs are worth something. They're not just like, oh, whatever, coincidence. Like you got to pay attention to that kind of stuff.
And I love that you said that, because that's been one of the biggest transformational pieces for me since Bali, has been trusting that. Because I've always been a logical thinker. I've always, had a huge heart and wanting to be, helpful and all of that, but I've always been logical about it. And after Bali, really being able to hear my intuition and hear what, my relationship with God has even transformed to be what's right for me, and being able to hear through my version of my meditation that works for me and my conversations with God is that he speaks to me through my intuition. And when I can slow down and hear that and stop questioning it, get out of my own way enough to actually hear him and follow it and trust that. And sometimes over and over again, it's patience, which I don't have a lot of, but I'm working on it. And it's the word allowing, or it's those types of things where I have a question, or it's like, guide me to what is next, and having that come through and actually taking action
Mm.
on on that intuition, versus what I used to do was explain it away. No, my mind is set on this direction. I have to do this because. Sometimes for me, it's been really understanding the energetic vibration of how the universe works, and how we're all connected, and those serendipitous interactions that happen, and all of those different things, is to be able to trust and let go of thinking that we have control is huge. What we have control over is our actions, but really hearing our intuition guide us has been a big piece for me.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. And I think you mentioned that, but I'm hearing it differently for the first time, of like you really tapping into your intuition and trusting. How do you think the experience at the Radiance Recharge, which for those of you who don't know, the Radiance Recharge is the retreat that I put on in Bali that Sandi went to last year. How do you think, Sandi, that helps you get in touch and trust your intuition?
Oh, which moment do I talk about? I think that the first one that comes to mind is, before I went, I was always asking, and I think I even asked you this ahead of time, or I asked several people, like, how do you meditate? Like I don't even know how. Which now, because I'm hard on myself, seems like, well, that was a silly question, but it's not a silly question. I didn't know, like, what did that mean? Like, you could tell me to go pray, and I would be like, okay, well, I know how to pray, and that's very, very heady, or it was very heady for me. And meditation, where it was your guided meditations, that you didn't say that they were guided meditations, that you took us through, and just very, more intuition sensory experiences, that really helped teach me without you saying that you were teaching me. It just happened for me to be like, oh, I get it. If I can just quiet my mind and allow some visualizations to come in, to actually connect to my soul, so to speak, and really just hearing, which I'm going to hear, which is going to feel like a thought, but it's a thought that I don't know where it came from, kind of thing. And so even just learning those habits was huge for me. And another piece was the Temple of the Holy Water. That experience, there are very few people that I've actually been able to share that experience with, and I'm actually getting teary as I even talk about it, that I've been able to talk about that experience from the place of what it feels like to me. Most people that I've talked about my Bali trip with, I've talked about, and then there was this cool, and, and I can keep it very surface level. But the couple of people that I've been able to share, like, what that truly was for me, when Jen, who also went on our retreat, said, girl, it was like you were levitating. I was like, okay. Oh, weird, but okay. I literally, it was such a powerful emotional, spiritual experience for me. And it literally, I was reading back through my journal notes, because I journaled every day while we were there. I had a visceral emotion even driving up to the temple. And I was sitting in the front seat because I tend to get motion sick. And just even looking at the scenery and driving up there, I was having just this emotion building, and I didn't know what it was or why it was or anything. And then walking around and, kind of trying to understand their traditions so that we were respectful of the robes and different things like that. But literally, when we got to the edge of the water where we were actually going to go in, and then the moment we kind of centered ourselves as a group, and it started raining on us, and I have always, not always, probably for about 10 years-ish, give or take, I've always said, okay, God, if I'm doing the right thing, give me a sign. And every time it's been rain.
Mm.
And it's rain that I'm not expecting. And it can be the most random, like it wasn't even on the weather forecast kind of thing. And there's this silly little sprinkle, like, and so for that to have happened in that moment added to the experience that I was having. And all I could do was pray at each one of the fountains, for lack of a better word of what to call them, in gratitude and praying in abundance, and then just standing on the edge after coming out, and it's just pouring rain, and I literally felt nothing. Like I could have stood there. I didn't ache anywhere. I didn't feel like, I needed to move. I didn't feel like an itch. I didn't feel I didn't feel like I had to pee. I didn't feel hungry. I didn't feel anything other than I just was so grateful. Like there was just this immense gratitude happening for my life and the experience, and feeling into the abundance that my life is meant to be. And it's hard to describe, but it was amazing. And fast forward to, I haven't shared this. There was a night, so after the Radiance Recharge, I went to my business training, and one night I'm meditating to go to sleep and have music going, and literally just had a powerful experience with God. It was this feeling of this bright yellow light, and it was so much in me connected to the universe as a whole, and it was so like overwhelmingly scary and incredible. I can't even describe it, but it was like just a sequence of events that really just continued to build and grow and show me how connected I am, and we all are, to every other being and energy source on this planet, and being able to be part of something bigger than ourselves, and to truly like feel that on a visceral level was so just a validation that I'm doing the right thing, and validation that yes, Sandi, your intuition is real, and yes, you can trust it, and yes, I'm here, and yes, I'm guiding you, and it was just incredible.
Mm. Wow. Thank you for sharing. That was just, I had like chills all over my body, and that vision, I can see you so clearly in many moments. One of my favorite parts about the retreat was witnessing you. Just you represented that divine feminine of like letting go and just like experiencing, and like, and I know how scary it was for you, being without Hunter, your son, for that long, how scary it was for you to not like focus on your business during that time, but to allow, right, like this connection to just come through you, instead of, like you said, like the push masculine force that we're all so good at. Mm-hmm. And that those moments of just like watching you just like revel, that's the word that comes to me, like reveling in your own like divinity and magnificence. There was this like really like tangible feeling that I can feel in my body of what it was like to witness you in those moments.
Can I talk about the funny one?
Yeah, talk about the funny one.
I think it was after, I don't remember what day it was. It was after the temple when we went to dinner on that hill, and I forget, but the frogs.
Yeah, The whatever restaurant we went to is called like Ginger something.
Yeah. And so we drive to this place, and so the restaurant is on a hill, and there's a little, I want to call it a stream, but I guess it's kind of like a gutter. And so they had built the little walkway over the gutter to step up into the restaurant. And it's just this little tiny restaurant. It was fantastic. But as I got out of the car and went to, and no one else had walked up yet, like just as I walked past, a frog jumped in front of me. And I was like, oh, hello. And then I kept walking and went to the restaurant. Fast forward through dinner, I needed to go to the restroom, and you had to walk back out and walk all the way around. And as I go to walk out, there's these frogs, like there was like 3 of them literally looking at me. And I had not had alcohol at this meal. But I'm like acting like a 2-year-old, like giggling at these frogs staring at me. And I remember Jen being like, just go, just go. I'm like, I can't go. Like, they're going to jump on my legs. Like, they're going to creep me out. And so finally, I just ran really quick. And then I came back, and Jen goes, you know, all the frogs, like, went away after you walked past. I was like, that's kind of creepy. And then the next morning, I get up, and there's frogs in my shower. And they just kept coming up, and the next thing you know, like later on in the evening, the frogs are still there. And I'm like, okay, I need to shower. And I'm saying this out loud. And I'm like, okay, Sandi, now you really lost it. You're like talking to frogs. You're just seriously. But I'm like, okay, you guys, you're going to have to get in the shower because I'm going to have to take a shower. And literally it felt like they looked at me and then moved away. And maybe they didn't. I don't know. Maybe I was smoking something, but I wasn't. It was just this funny experience about the frogs showing up. And then I pulled the frog card, which is all about transformation. And then I looked up and read what the symbolism of frogs is. And it was just everything fell into this alignment of, Sandi, here's your path. You're doing the right thing. Like, trust it. I got you. We're here. And being aware and paying attention to all those little things, even if they're funny and make you feel like you're crazy.
Yeah, totally. Well, and remember, I think I told you, frog is abundance as well. It's like money. And I know that was one of your intentions, right? For going on a trip was like, you want to grow your business, you want to make more money. And so that for me was so fun to see, you know, because for those of you watching, I do a conversation with each woman just to help her get clear on what she would want to receive in Bali. And then together we make a decision if she's the right fit. And, you know, so during that time with Sandi, and then fast forward when we actually went to Bali, I was like, like.
Right. And then fast forward now, the craziness is that I've now, you know, moved out. I'm living in my own place, and my business is like I'm living on my business. I'm not living on savings anymore. And I forget to be grateful for that sometimes because I'm still, you know, trying to drive and get to the next level to where I can repay my savings. And so I still have that driven side of me that absolutely drives me to take action and make these things happen. But what guides me is my intuition and trusting the process and allowing it to happen. And it's happening so easily and almost effortlessly. To think that it's been less than a year, and I, you know, was the time we went to Bali was already separated, but we hadn't sold the house yet. We were still living together as roommates. And so from the time that I went to Bali to now, and we went end of April, 2015, is I literally, like, the house sold, I moved out on my own. My business is now paying my bills, and I'm able to travel. I just took a Bliss trip, as you call it. I was like, oh, I totally forgot to call it a Bliss trip, but that kind of was a Bliss trip.
You did.
Last weekend I was speaking at a conference in Sacramento, and I decided to drive so then I could drive to Tahoe and ski for a day before I came home, and totally went by myself. And I've never, like, done that for me, to just take a trip. And so it was so fun and rewarding to just go ski by myself and feel strong and confident. And I met friends because that's apparently what I do when I'm by myself. And so yeah, just to be in this place versus the place that I was at even just less than a year ago, of feeling so afraid of what was on the other side.
Mm. Wow.
Random other side story. I've been sharing this in my coaching as I'm coaching school leaders. And we talk about edges a lot. We talk about like when you get to that place where you start to feel, fearful, whether it's an edge of having a hard conversation or an edge of, growth or whatever it is. And I also, totally realizing the timeline of everything, came back and hiked Half Dome at the end of June in Yosemite, and which never thought that I would do that either, and took the leap of faith and went on a random trip with friends one that I knew, but the others that I didn't know. And so as this friend and I are driving to Yosemite, there's dips in the road, and they're pretty extreme ones. And my whole life driving a car, I hesitate, oh my God, I'm going over that, like as if the road's not going to be there, hovering over the brake or touching the brake or what, like that fear of, oh my God, it's gonna. And so he's laughing at me, and we have very philosophical conversations. And on the way back, he's laughing at me again because I'm doing the same thing over the same stretch of road. And he's like, there might be something there. I'm like, there's nothing there. And so I did some meditating on that, like, what is that fear? What is that fear? And it came up, it's like that fear of what's on the other side. It's that fear of the unknown, that fear of, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like, even as I was even thinking about it, I could feel the anxiety coming up. And so really did some mindfulness work with myself and out loud, like, okay, every time you have that fear of what's on the other side, it's fantastic on the other side. Once you get through that, Sandi, like historically in your life, you've never fallen off the face of the earth. You've never, it's never been catastrophic. Yeah, you've had some rough falls, but you've always risen. You've always figured it out. And so stop being afraid and just trust what's on the other side is going to be beautiful, because you're going to make it that way. And then this past December, driving to Havasu to see my grandpa, and and there's a little stretch of road where there's some dips, and I was going over them like no big deal. And as I did it, I didn't realize it at first, and then I was like, wait, and I was like texting my friend as soon as I got there, guess what? I went over the dips without hovering over the brake, and he's laughing at me. But it was a huge piece of my transformation journey that has just continued as I've noticed different blocks and different edges and different things that have held me back. I'm able to process them with tools and trusting myself and leaning into it. So many little examples like that was so hard for me to put into, hey, Jess, let me write you a testimonial to, about what this Radiance Recharge is about. I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to start. So.
Wow. Yeah, I know. And I'd be curious, like, because from your perspective, right, being that woman who's always been very logical and business driven, how did you make the connection and see that Bali could actually be a transformational experience for you, that it wasn't just a vacation, that it could get you to where you want to go? How go ahead. Because when I talk to people, right, that's like one of the things. It's like, well, I could just go to Bali by myself. So I'm curious what your perspective is of how you got there.
Yeah. So maybe if I read a little sentence or two from my day one journal entry from when we got to Bali.
Oh, that would be a treat. Yeah.
So there's a part that I read in here. Okay, I'm going to read the part that's vulnerable because I'm laughing at myself as I'm even writing this. I'm talking about, that we're there and knowing that you had planned a ton of details. I said, while I'm loving being here, I find my thoughts complaining about little things like ants around the pool area. Hello, we are on an island. There are bugs here. So I ask myself, what's really going on? I'm bothered by the bugs and would love a general itinerary to settle into. But I knew both of those things going into this trip. I also knew this was going to be a time to dive into this transition I'm in my life overall. So, and then I go on to say, so the best I can suffice right now is that these little irritations I'm feeling are rooted in unearthing my bigger issues of, one, being in control and wanting to let go, and two, being afraid of letting go and being out of control, and three, being afraid of the unknown on the other side of this trip, this transition, my life without my husband. After we sell the house, then what do I want? What do I do? And so this is like day one. I'm already in my own head going, okay, why are you irritated by all these little things? And then day two, when we woke up and had, you know, our first circle time, for lack of a better word of what to call it, setting my intention for that day after going through the meditation, it triggered that I even wrote later that night when I did my journaling, more important than coming home tan and thin and beautiful and rested is coming home radiant, recharged, and free to be me and my authentic self every day. And my definition for free is fulfilled, radiant, empowered, and enlightened. And so it wasn't until I was there and immersed in allowing you to even guide us through the process and for me to even be able to feel the sensory experience of being in Bali that I saw it as more than that. And there's even times now when I talk about, oh, I went to Bali, and I'll even describe it as a yoga meditation retreat because I don't know if people would even understand. If I said Radiance Recharge Retreat, there would be a lot of questions that I'm not sure I would want to answer with those people that I call it a yoga meditation retreat. Mm-hmm. And so before, it literally was about going to Bali because I always dreamed of going to Bali and it's a beautiful place to go. And it still was, I want this to be a vacation. Like I want time to shop and I want time to go to the beach and I want time to, you know, it's my vacation. It's the first big trip I'm taking by myself. And it should be what I want. And yeah, it was more than I wanted and life-changing.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's so interesting because I think it's one of those things like you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
So I love that you talk so much about the trust of like, you know, just following that. And I love the little irritations. That's so interesting because when you're sharing, I now remember you saying things about like the ants. And you guys, just so you know, there weren't even that many ants. Like our villa was like very clean. We have these like luxury villas. They get cleaned every day. So it's just interesting, Sandi, that you're so vulnerable to share with us those little like
because it was little like you couldn't even see them unless you were looking for them. Like, yeah, looking back on it, I'm like saying you were silly. And I was in my own way trying to control the situation and go, you know, this is the way I want it. And being the, you know, stubborn, strong-headed woman that I am, which doesn't work for me. So why am I doing it? And once I leaned in and allowed things to happen and, you know, allowed experiences to come to me, like realizing that I love my name. Not loving my name. And realizing that I love my name. My name is beautiful. Why do I not love my name? And like, again, overcoming those silly little things. And the clothing, you know, I shared with you when I came back. I literally had to go to a meeting and was just kind of in a hurry soon after I got back and threw on my gray slacks and a black shirt to match. And I was like, you know, this isn't, well, fine, I gotta go, I'm in a hurry. And on the way there, I think is when I text you and went, this isn't, what did you do to me? This is not okay. Like, I need to go shopping. And
what do you think that is?
I am ready for my light to shine in the world and to be me and not to hide. And not that black is necessarily hiding because I still wear black. But it was all I was wearing. And so much of my life before was minimizing who I am and you know, getting into this space of like, I'm doing good work, but look at my work, don't look at me. Like, look at everyone else, look at everyone else. And coming back and being like, I'm doing good work. Look at all of this that I'm creating with these beautiful people. That it's not necessarily just about me, but if I can shine my light, then I can share with others how to shine theirs and be true to themselves.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Is there anything else you'd want to share, like for anybody who maybe, you know, is even like a parent, right? Because that was a big thing for you, was like, what was your experience like being without your son and going through this transformation alone? And do you think that it was beneficial for you?
It was so beneficial, absolutely. And I remember us even having that conversation because you're like, you know, I'm not your mom, but I'm going to tell you that you need to just not communicate with anyone while you're here. And that
you didn't like that.
He was angry. Like, no, I'm going to talk to my kid. Like, I have to talk to my kid. And at the same time going, okay, but you need to allow what's best for you to be best for you. And what was best for me is that I had one Skype call with Hunter one morning super early, and then Jen intuitively was like, hey, let's go walk on the beach. And so that Skype call was short, and I went and walked on the beach with Jen. And so it was just enough to know that he was okay and let him kind of see the villa and share a little piece of it with him. But it truly allowed me to put myself first for the first time versus putting everyone else first. And that was so important for me, hindsight now, to learn that I can't give from an empty cup. And yet I've been living my entire life trying to give from an empty cup. And it's time for me to put me first and nurture myself. And, you know, the little things like pedicures and girls' night and those kind of things are great. But it's a bigger lifestyle shift of, Sandi, you deserve to be a whole person and to be celebrated for the amazing, beautiful human being you are, just as you say everyone else deserves that. And if you're going to preach that everyone else deserves that, then you need to live that and model it, because as human beings, we tend to do what we see more than what we hear. And again, being in the world of education with my work, it's even that much more important for me to be showing as much as I'm talking about core values and how to live intentionally and live your life on purpose.
Wow. I love that. Thank you for sharing, because I think it's so important, you know, for people with kids. I mean, I don't have kids, so that's why I love to hear from somebody who does what the experience is like. Because I really think, you know, it's hard for me because I feel like I'm very protective of women getting their needs met. And like, I don't really know what it's like to be a parent. So like hearing it come from you, I think is going to be so beneficial for those women that are really struggling with.
It's hard to be away from them.
Right. And I love what you said of like, you know, being that model of like putting yourself first. And I think one thing that I'd pointed out when you were really kind of struggling with my suggestion, my strong suggestion to create that space and to not be in contact, was you trusting that you have been a good enough and amazing parent that he's going to be okay. Yeah. And in fact, it's going to be awesome for him to have that space away from you, because it's just like another level in his own growth. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
And that was huge, to be able to trust in my parenting to that date and trust that I'm important too, and that showing them that mommy is a human too, and not just, you know, their caregiver. like we are a whole person, and you know, as he's growing up, and even last night I had a last minute opportunity, like literally hours notice opportunity to go see Celine Dion in concert. And I was like, okay, he's out to dinner with his youth group leader and he's supposed to be home then. What am I going to do with him? And I called him and I said, okay, I have this opportunity, bud. And he goes, Mom, go. Like, why would you not go? Like, that's crazy. Of course you're going. He goes, this is fine. I'll do this and I'll do it. And it was easy. He's like, I'm good. Like, okay, you're right. I need to stop feeling like if I'm not with you every moment I get to be with you, then I'm a bad person. Yeah. He's like, oh my God, that's amazing. And, then we got to talk about it when I got home and it was fine. So, and I got a beautiful experience.
Awesome. Larissa, who also went on the Radiance Recharge last year, as a mama as well. And she says, I couldn't agree and relate more. Very cool.
I had good mommy conversations about what it was like to take care of ourselves and how beneficial that is for our boys. To be able to see and raising the types of men that we would want to marry, and a piece of that is them seeing that women get to take care of themselves just as much as men do. It is not just a woman thing, it's a human thing. Like, as human beings, we get to take care of our needs and fill our cup to be this amazing human being to then share with others. But if we're constantly operating from a depleted place, then we're not giving of our best selves. So,
wow, I love that you said that, raising the men that we would want to marry. That's so powerful. And I think it's also a good reminder of what I've experienced, is that men are actually really good at supporting us in our self-care, because they don't question doing what's best for them. So usually the women that I speak to about the retreat that are hesitant about, talking to their husbands about going or being worried about leaving the family, it's actually like our own stuff. Mm-hmm. So when we're excited, they're like, heck yeah, because they want us to be happy, right? Yeah. Like, they want, and the people in our lives who really love us, they're the ones who are going to support us in our dreams no matter what. And the people who aren't, that's their loss.
And going into any conversation with anyone about anything, we make up stories in our head. And so if we begin to own that story that we're making up in our head as a lead into that conversation that we might think is going to be tough, then oftentimes they're like, why are you making up that story in your head? That's not what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do. But if we own our part in it and say, the story I'm making up in my head is this, and Brené Brown does a beautiful job of teaching that, and really in her Rising Strong book of owning the stories that we all make up, because all we know is this present moment. We make up stories about what's going to happen in the future, and we make up stories about what happened in the past. Our minds fill in the gaps. It's neuroscientifically kind of how we function. And so when we, as women especially, can own that story going into those conversations, even with, for a mom, with whoever's going to care for our kids while we're gone, even if it's just for a day or a date night or whatever, to be able to say, the story I'm making up in my head is that you're going to feel like I'm taking advantage, or, that's always one for me. And everyone's like, nope, don't feel that way at all. And then it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I love that book too. It's a good one for everybody. Rising Strong by Brené Brown. Amazing. I just want to acknowledge too that your mom has been commenting and said you've always been a helper. And then I think when you were talking about kind of the chain of events, that you were led by like a guardian angel, she wrote, and Holy Spirit. I think that's maybe what you meant, Susan. Yeah, and Larissa says, you couldn't say it any better. We are moms, but humans too. We set an example for them as well. Totally. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, I would love to share, while you're still on here, Sandi, a little bit more about the retreat for people who are curious, because that's what we've been talking about. And they're probably like, what the heck is this amazing Bali trip that nobody can even describe? But I really appreciate your examples of your experience, because I think that really helps give people an inside look beyond just I'm going to a beautiful location. Because that's like, actually, in my opinion, the like bonus. But the transformational work, like Sandi was talking about, is really what it's all about, is being able to go and experience this retreat led by me and my passion to support women in really putting themselves first and connecting to themselves on a deeper level. So Sandi, I'd love for you to be on here too, so that just in case anybody has any questions or you have any like thing to add to help me explain, I think that would be really helpful. Yeah. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So I'm going to take you guys to, well, first actually, I'm going to play a video that'll give you guys a little bit more insight into what the Radiance Recharge is and really kind of the type of woman that it's for. So it's a 3-minute video that I'm really proud of. I totally got to use my like creator skills. Both Sandi and I are creators. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So I'm gonna go away for just 3 minutes and then I will be right back after this video plays. So I'll see you guys in a moment. All right.
That's so beautiful. Wonderful.
Oh.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yay. Does it bring back memories?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Such an amazing thing. And one thing you mentioned before is that you know, it's about the transformation, and that's really obviously the big piece that I brought home. At the same time, there's so much of the beauty of being in Bali and going to the beaches and going to the temples and experiencing the monkey forest and experiencing Ubud and experiencing massage and spa treatments. And I mean, how you pack it all in so effortlessly and to where it doesn't feel like we're on a schedule. I have no idea how you masterfully did that. But it truly was not a scheduled thing, other than, you know, we're all getting up and we're, you know, connecting in the mornings. And if for some reason you're having a rough morning and you can't, then, you know, let's have that conversation separately. But otherwise it was, hey, show up, and we got to see what we got that day. Like, we had no idea. And that was half of the fun. Now, at first, that didn't feel fun for me because I wanted to control it. I wanted to know the itinerary. I wanted to understand what was coming. I needed to know what was on the other side. And really just being able to lean into allowing the beautiful experience to happen was part of my transformation. But you have all of those other wonderful things planned in there so that it is a vacation. It's not like 24 hours of hard mental work, and that's not what it's like at all. That was the byproduct of what I took away, but the experiences to get me there were so just beautiful and easy and effortless.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because yeah, I'm glad you can see now why I didn't want to give you guys it all, you know, like, and it is hard for people who are used to like being the one that's a leader like you, right? Where they're like, I just want to categorize everything, like make it make sense in my mind, and I want to see where we're going. And I actually think one of the reasons you're so in tune now is because you weren't overwhelmed with all that information. You didn't have to figure it out. Like, you trusted me to have that handled. And that can be hard too when you don't really, you're not used to that.
And when you're a planner,
when you're what?
We're such a planner and a head person.
Right. Yeah. And the reason that I do that is so that you can be forced to be in the moment. And to just experience exactly what we're going through when we're going through it. And yeah, and that's part of like us stepping into our feminine, is that trust and that like being present, being connected to our senses, not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's what we're so used to in our everyday, that of course our minds are going to go that way, right? Yeah, so it's really interesting. And I love too that you said it, like the experience is like being able to see all these different things and to touch and taste and smell, and the excursions. I'm going to share with you guys a little bit more about those, so that you really understand, you know, what this experience is like. And I would say, like, if you just want to go and see Bali, you can do that. And the reason why I feel that this retreat is so beneficial for women is because it's all planned for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And it's different than like if you were to go through like a travel company, right, and like purchase one of those package deals that you can see like everything in Bali in like, you know, 5 days. But like Sandi was saying, I'm really intentional in it feeling like you're not like jam-packed with everything and we're like back to back and it's like a work, you know, like vacation where you're more exhausted when you leave than you were when you came. And so many times, right, like we go to these places and it's like this fear bubbles up of like, oh my God, if I never come back, I want to see this and I want to see this and I want to see this. And yet like the magic is really in those moments of presence, like experiencing what you experienced, Sandi, at the Holy Water Springs Temple, and like just like, like reveling in that experience versus like if we were to just have gone in, done the, like, you know, bathing in the holy springs, left, gone to the next thing. Like, we had space and time to actually allow that transformation to occur while we were in Bali. Like, that's where the magic happens. Don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so much of being able to be present with yourself because you don't have to think about what's next. And just the container that you create and the safety that you create of, I've got you guys, don't worry, I've got you. And just, you have that presence about you, which is so beautiful. And for me to be able to get into that space, literally, you know, in less than 24 hours of being in Bali, to let go of that and trust. And literally, I remember saying to you, like, I trust you. And I came here to let go, and I trust you because I know you got me. And I had to lean into that trust, and I had to be willing to let go. And it was hard. It was a daily choice. But I knew that that's what was important for me to walk away with. And all the other beautiful experiences of monkeys crawling on my shoulders and stuff. I mean, that's just cool. those are the fun stories you can share with everyone if you don't want to share, you know, the inside vulnerable stuff. And it's just all packed in so beautifully.
Oh, bye, Susan. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, Mom.
Yeah, and I love that you said that. I was just watching a webinar the other night for retreat organizers, and they said something that just struck me in the heart and made me kind of upset, actually, and it makes sense. It's people who don't know you are not going to want to go across the world with you. And so I would ask you, you know, you had a little bit of a benefit because you knew me from a personal space during our public speaking course together. But for people who maybe are questioning, well, I don't really know this chick, what would you say about me? And you've already beautifully described some things about my presence and my ability to just kind of like hold the space. Is there anything else that you think people should know just about my style, about the way that I produce the retreat and led?
So not knowing what to expect. Like, I went into it blind, not knowing anything. And even though we had gone through that public speaking class together, I really didn't know you very well. And I kind of knew your style, and but not really. And but you have this way of just being this gentle, confident, feminine strength that really is so non-judgmental, is so just loving. And even when you have to say the hard stuff that we really need to hear, you say it in such a loving way where it's not judgmental, it's not harsh, and you allow us the space to figure it out for ourselves, because you know that that's where the true growth and sustainability of that growth comes from. And in terms of like trusting you, you've got this. You've done it already. You've been there. You've navigated. And even when you hadn't been to Bali for the first time, navigating it all, you had so much structured, set up ahead of time, and logistics detailed, planned out, down to where to get our money, down to where to, exchange, down to making sure that all of those details were taken care of, that I didn't have to think about anything. And every time I had a question, you're like, oh yeah, I figured that out. Oh yeah, I figured that. Like, it was just easy and effortless. And so all of those little things are what build and grow trust. And you've got all of that. And so for someone to fly halfway around the world, if they're from the US, to join this retreat, there's no one that I would trust more. And you're amazing in everything that you do, and in making people feel safe and secure because you are in a different country, and allowing the transformation to happen and creating beautiful experiences.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That means so much to me. And yeah, people thought I was crazy for not going to Bali first before leading a retreat. But that's one thing I know is just my strength, is like figuring stuff out and having all the details. I'm really good at planning events. I've been doing it for 15 years, more than 15 years now, I think. That's my background. And I used to work for a travel company for 6.5 years, an airline. So like the whole travel piece is really, you know, comfortable for me. And I've traveled internationally, and I love different cultures. So I know a lot of times people are afraid of like, oh, I'm going to be in like a different culture and I'm not sure. So like I researched the culture, and so thank you for sharing that, because I think it's important for people to hear as to why the heck they should trust me if they're feeling called, like they want to go on the Radiance Recharge and have this amazing transformational experience.
And truly just knowing that it's about them. You're just creating the container.
Yes, yes. And I swear you are so intuitive, because this morning in the shower, I got a little download where it was like, okay, what really is unique about my style and how I lead these daily activities that we have in the morning each day in Bali? And that's what came through for me. It's like, I am so against the teaching style of like, follow step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to get X, Y, Z. Yeah. Like, if anybody tells you that, it's bullshit. Like, it's not true, because we're all unique. And so I'm so passionate, and I love that you said this, of like leading women through the process of figuring out their own inner truth, their own inner radiance, like, and pulling it out, like in that gentle yet kind of firm, strong, feminine presence way. Because the reality is, and you were talking about like, you know, like the way the mind works, right? I read this book at one point, and now I can't remember what it's called, so this is not going to help much to refer the book, but I read a book, and what it said is when you help people connect to their own solutions, number one, they're going to follow through more because it was their own. And number two, it like helps our brains like transform and create like these new possibilities and openings. So versus somebody just saying like, here's what you need to do. Yeah. You know, like that's just never the solution. So just, I always let people know, if you're looking for a coach or you're looking for a transformational retreat and people are telling you they're going to show you exactly through steps 1 through 5 how to get to XYZ, like it's just not the case.
It works temporarily if you follow their exact steps and if your brain is wired the same way that their brain is wired. So we all have our natural, you know, brain wired strengths, and not that we can't understand why someone else is doing it the way that they're doing it, but if it's not the way that our brain is wired and we're trying to follow their example, it's ultimately going to feel like a struggle, and then we're not going to do it. So when you work with someone like you, Jess, and who just creates that safe container for us as individuals to find our own path, that's truly the transformational work that becomes your new norm, that becomes that, you know, sustainable feels like the wrong word when we're talking about personal transformation, but it makes it your new norm because you decided that it was, not because someone told you you have to and you should because they created success by doing it this way or that way. It truly becomes, I know I'm going to create my success, and I've seen others do it in similar ways, but I'm going to make it unique to me, and I'm then going to do it. And again, if you find someone that has a step process and that's how your brain works and you're going to do it, then absolutely, then that works. But if it's not, then you just have to find the right coach for you. And you know, someone like you, Jess, is really like, it doesn't matter how your brain works because you're going to have them tap into that themselves.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. All right. So thank you guys for staying with us. And if you're watching this replay, of course, thank you for continuing to watch. I'm I'm so loving this. This is so much fun. So I hope you guys are loving it too. And right now I just want to take the opportunity to share with you a little bit more about the retreat. So you saw the video, you saw kind of like the creation behind my vision for the Radiance Recharge. Like you have witnessed, I did it last year and it was so amazing. I'm doing it again. So I just want to share with you guys a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is take you through actually the retreat webpage. So I'm just going to show you a few things, explain who this retreat is for, so that if you're kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, I've heard Sandi's story and this is just so amazing and I want something in my own life like this, and I've been really kind of like feeling like there's something next level and I want to connect more to my own spirituality and let go of what everybody else thinks and gain clarity through this feminine way of guidance and transformational activities. This is going to be something that you're going to want to listen to, and I just invite you, if you're like, nope, not for me, I already, you know, was clear, I loved hearing Sandi's story, I invite you to just take a look at the photos that I'm going to be sharing on this page. You never know, right? When we're open and we're curious, you never know what might spark something else in your life where you're like, oh, you might get clarity even just from listening to what's in store for this transformational retreat. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Just give me a second to open up this web page. Okay, so right now you probably see a really crazy screen with a whole bunch of boxes. And I'm going to take you to the Radiance Recharge.com, which is the website for the retreat. Oh, must have spelled it wrong. Yes, I did. Okay, can you see it, Sandi? Can you see my screen working?
I can.
Okay.
Yep, it's up.
Okay, great. So this is the video that you guys just watched. I'm going to push pause. So the Radiance Recharge of this year is April 22nd through the 30th. And it is a full 7 days, 2 half days. So it's a 9-day retreat. And the reason why I do it that amount of time is because I find that it takes a while, right? Like Sandi was saying, like her first day, she was annoyed by the little ants and like, rah, you know, so it takes a while for us to open up to our feminine, to let go, to unplug our brains from the push, 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 the do, 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 and to allow all of those new ideas and possibilities and transformation to flow through. So this retreat is not just a vacation. I know I've already said that. So it is a transformational retreat for women who are looking to shed those shoulds. So the shoulds, like, you know, Sandi was kind of mentioning how her brain like gets into this, like, let me figure everything out. So that's a should, right? Like we are taught that we need to make sense of certain things in order to do them, that we must make logical sense in order for things to be quote unquote right for us. So I really teach women to unplug from those shoulds, to shed them. And at this retreat, what happens when we do those guided activities that I lead you through, all your sheds, all your shoulds, we shed them, is to then start looking at your deepest desires. So we shed the shoulds, discover your deepest desires, and then learn how to move forward with your big, meaningful dreams. And all your big, meaningful dream is whatever those desires are. Your desires are a GPS towards your soul's purpose, and that is your big, meaningful dream. So for Sandi, it's really changing the face of education and inspiring people through teaching them how to identify their core values. And so much more, right, Sandi?
So much more, especially since Bali. So
yeah,
elements really changed my business and really getting some good traction on changing the culture in our schools. It's pretty amazing. You have that big meaningful dream, and that amplified what I thought mine was.
Ah, I love that. And, I specialize in helping women, and the women that I want to call into this retreat, they don't just want to achieve success because, like, their dream really is meaningful. So like Sandi, like she has a big vision, right? For like changing education and the way that our systems work and the way that kids feel at work and the way that administrators lead. Like that is a big, meaningful dream. So, if you're somebody out there who's like, I don't really care how I get to my dreams, I just want to make a lot of money, you're not going to be the right fit for this retreat, because I really want to support women who are on this big path to a more meaningful life and helping others through it, led by their deepest desires. So like I had one client in my 6-month program who her big meaningful dream was to just have a baby. And that's totally okay. I mean, hey, that's a big, meaningful dream to be a mother. Sandi can tell you, that is probably like one of the best, most meaningful things that she'll ever do in her life. So that's what I'm really, really interested in is helping women during this retreat shed their shoulds, discover their deepest desires, not what everybody else wants for you, and move forward with their big, meaningful dreams, and doing it without feeling guilty. Because gosh, isn't that one of the biggest stopping points that, you might even be feeling like this retreat is not even possible because of the guilt that you feel for being away from your family or treating yourself to something this amazing and transformational, So I just ask you to open up to the possibility that on this retreat, my intention is to really help you let go of that guilt and to see the beauty within you doing something just for you. And then, of course, 2 of my main intentions are for you to feel radiant and feminine during the retreat, after the retreat, to really carry that through, just like Sandi was saying. Like, she doesn't love wearing, dark colors anymore. It's like all about that radiance and her like being seen and sharing her inner radiance with the world. Through this like brightly colored life, or as Sandi likes to say, life on purpose. Right, Sandi?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, the Radiance Recharge is a 9-day transformational, intimate women's retreat to Bali. So I haven't mentioned that this is a very select group of women that I'm taking. So I had room for 8 total women. As of now, I have 5 spots remaining. So it's a very intimate group, because my intention is to be able to support each and every woman, for us to connect deeply, to not just come together and kind of have this experience and nobody gets to be seen and heard, because there's so many people we can't get through a day with like hearing everybody's voice. So it's really important to me that I hold close to this small number. Like my own coach is like, don't you want to open it up for like 13 people? And I'm like, no, I do not.
It would not be the same.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Sandi, on like the going in a small group?
Yeah, so amazing. And it really allows you to get close and feel that trust and that safe space in a short amount of time to be able to work on yourself and know that you're not alone. And yeah, I can't imagine it being more. I think it would take away from the container that you create to have too many women.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so at this point you might be thinking, like, I've heard Sandi's amazing story. I've felt the transformation that she's experienced. Maybe you're starting to feel this stirring inside of you of like, oh gosh, what could this be like for me? So I have outlined just a few points to help you get clear if the Radiance Recharge is a good fit for you. So first, You want a life-changing transformational experience to connect deeper with your desires and take the next step in your spiritual journey. Like I said, this really is more than a vacation. This is like, I want the next level of my spiritual and transformational growth. You are desiring time and space just for yourself. So this is for women who are the types that don't give themselves that space, you know, maybe feel guilty and creating space just for themselves, not taking time out. Or maybe you are really good at taking that time, but you're wanting more space. You're needing kind of like that sacred place within a container of structure and femininity and sisterhood to really recenter within yourself. It's also for people who are normally the givers. So Sandi, I know your mom had commented like, you've always been a giver, and I fall right into that category too. Like, so if you're listening and you are normally a giver and you want to just share your love with the world and, you know, do for everybody else, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful gift. And I know firsthand how that can cause you to burn out, start feeling resentful because you are that giver and you're not receiving as much as you've given. So this is for women who are really ready to receive, to really get that they can just lean back and have all their needs met, okay? And to trust me to really hold them in that space. It's also for women who are longing to have a circle of women that they can count on. So lots of women that I talk to say that they wish that they had deeper connections with women. They wish that they had a sisterhood, a circle of authentic connections, right? Because how many times do we have kind of those friends in our life that are like, we see and we're like, oh yeah, we should get together. Oh yeah, totally. And then like, it never happens, right? That is not a true circle of sisterhood. It's just not. So I was delighted to hear that Sandi and the other women who went with me last year are still like talking and texting each other, and like it's so awesome. We have this like text chain that's going that somebody pops into every once in a while. So really, I believe truly the place that we heal is first and foremost internally, but when we are with people who support us, that happens even quicker. So this is also for women who want to unplug from work. If you want to let go of technology and just be without any responsibilities, this is a place to do it. And you might say, well, I can do that at home. Well, the reality is you're not going to. When we stay like in our everyday routine, we just get into that like place where we're in like auto drive, right? It's like, do this, do that. We got like our responsibilities and to-do list. And what happens, one of the reasons I'm so passionate in creating these experiences in far, far away places like Bali is so that you can just completely be literally away from it all. And that's where the magic is going to happen, because you're going to be able to open up this whole new level of your brain that was before preoccupied by technology and work and your to-do list. And the idea is, like Sandi was describing, that connection to yourself, that connection to the moment, to your inner truth, that's where it's going to happen, is in those moments. So it's also for women who want to feel completely at peace while surrounded by beautiful scenery in Bali. So just that peaceful feeling, you know, that we can create little moments in our everyday life, but it just, can you imagine what that like extended experience would be if you're at peace for these 9 days? It's just completely magical. And you want to do something just for you. Like, just for you. This is a great opportunity for doing something big that will not only allow you to relax and recharge, but is more than a vacation, right? Like, it's more than It's really maximizing that beautiful time in a sacred place while also doing the transformational work. And you want support in releasing emotional blocks that are holding you back from your next level of personal and business career success. So you've heard a little bit from Sandi about ways that she has really like personally grown, right? Like she has her own place now and is just blossoming and growing and wanting to be seen and stepping into this whole new level of like a life of color and the business and career success as well, right? Because we want to be fulfilled, those big meaningful dreams of her now making money, yay, and sustaining and supporting herself with doing what she loves, which is so important. And you want to feel free to express yourself without fear of like what people might think. So like Sandi was mentioning, like I'm really, really passionate about non-judgment, creating a safe place where everybody can be vulnerable, and just allowing you to just be yourself, you know, not having to think twice about like the filter of what should I say? What should I do? What is the mask that I'm going to wear today? Like literally, you can just be. And it's also for women who want to go somewhere where you can reset your thoughts and gain clarity on the next steps in your life. So I've already kind of talked about that. Like when you're away from it all, you can open up to this space where new ideas and direction will come to you. With the intention of that happening in this beautiful location, guided through our daily activities. And then lastly, you want to set your inner light on fire to feel more self-confident and love yourself, no matter what. So one of the surprising things that the ladies said last year is that they felt more confident after the retreat, which was interesting to me because that wasn't one of my intentions to help support the men, but it just happened. And I think that is because of my dedication to help women be 100% themselves, to really fall in love with that inner radiance deep within that they might not even realize exists until they come to this retreat and experience the possibilities of what it would look like to just unconditionally love yourself, no matter what you're going through. Sandi, do you have anything to add to any of those?
Add that the villa really looks like that.
Oh yeah, let's scroll down. The villa actually, it like looks better than this in person, right?
It actually looks like that. You know those pictures, you're like, oh, is it really gonna look like that? Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it really looks like this. So you guys can see on the left side, that's kind of far away, but that's the dinner table, breakfast table, lunch table, where we have meals. I hire a private chef, and we're getting the same chef as last year, Sandi, which is so cool, Yeoman. And he told us that he used to be a cruise ship chef. So like all his presentations are beautiful. It's so amazing. Yeah. Really delicious food.
It was really hard to come back.
I know, it was like so hard.
Come back and keep cooking for me daily.
Seriously. And then on the right side, you guys can see that couch area with the green pillows. That's where we gather each morning for a few hours of the deep transformational work activities that I lead to really help you shed those shoulds, discover your deepest desires, and then move forward with your big, meaningful dreams. So here is a photo of an example of one of the large private rooms. So each woman who comes gets a beautiful room all to herself and a private bathroom, which is so important to me for you to have that space. You know, if you want to go back to your room and just take a nap and to really center within yourself. You know, so many retreats that I see, they share beds. And that's great, you know, and it's not. Because you don't get your own space and you gotta share with somebody, usually who you don't even know, and it's just, yeah, like.
That was the room I was in, I think.
Was it?
I think so. And own private bath and outdoor shower and tub, and oh my God. I mean, yeah. Talk about
So amazing. Like, yeah. Beyond. Um, okay, so as I mentioned, deep transformational activities, like there's Sandi, and my coaching, right? So like the only other option to work with me as of now is a 6-month coaching program. And really, like, both are beneficial, but what I like to think of the Radiance Recharge as is kind of like an immersion, right? Like, people who like really love stuff to happen quickly want to come on the Radiance Recharge, because it is that, like, 9 days of beautiful transformational work without the overwhelm, though. So unlike many retreats, I'm not back to back, like, let's pack in all the content so you don't have any time to think about anything else. Like, no, I want you to enjoy the beautiful scenery of Bali and open up to that space and that flow. And I want to help you release these emotional blocks and discover your deepest desires so that you can feel confident and leave feeling very clear about the next level of what's possible in your life. So that's a photo of each, like Sandi was mentioning, I love to do these visualizations. It's like one of my favorite things. So that's all the women closing their eyes and me ringing my Tibetan bells that I love and getting ready for our activity. And that was the last day, wasn't it, Sandi?
Yeah, I think so.
Yay. Okay. And then there's delicious, fresh, organic food and beverage prepared by an in-home chef, like I mentioned. So this photo actually is of us at a restaurant in Ubud, which was so much fun. We totally like had a little adventure, right, Sandi?
That was an awesome adventure.
Oh my God, we like meandered. So this is what I'm talking about when we leave space to like flow, because I didn't know where we were going to eat for lunch. I left that open, trusting that all the women who we were with together as a sisterhood, like it would just happen, like where we ended up having lunch. And it just so happened that our photographer, Nora, who I've hired again, she follows us all day in Ubud on our experience, and she knew of this organic restaurant, and we thought we were lost because we're like walking forever amongst like the rice paddies, but it was just so much fun and so delicious. So all the meals, except for a few, are prepared by our in-home chef, and the ones that aren't are like amazing places like this place that we went it's called Sari Organic. All right, and not to mention that there is pampering with luxurious Balinese spa treatments, which was like so amazing, right, Sandi?
Of my life.
Oh my God, do you want to share just a little bit about your, like what your treatment was that you decided to do?
Well, there were 2 days.
Yes. 2 days.
So the first day was actually I was going to say in home, but in villa massage. I chose a Thai massage, and yeah, that was amazing. And then the next day was actually at the spa, and it was, I forget what type of massage it was. It was an amazing massage with a sea salt scrub, with a bath with flower petals, and they had cookies and tea afterwards, and it was just the most beautiful. Yeah, it's just, I can't even describe it. It was so incredibly amazing. And there's one picture that I saw the other day and reminded me that you had taken of me kind of after my spa treatment with my Bali bun. And they tie your hair up on top because obviously they've got oil everywhere, and they tie your hair up for you. And it was, I just remember sitting there after the treatment, looking at the waterfall that's in the lobby, and being just like, I am in heaven. This is amazing.
Oh, yes, I loved that moment with you. Like, you were just so, I mean, you were like that most of the retreat for sure, but it was a sweet moment of you just staring at the waterfall over in the corner by yourself, just like reveling in the relaxation of your after spa glow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun photo.
And then we went down to the beach to watch the sunset. And
oh, and then we got a photo with our Bali buns, you and I.
yeah.
So much. So yes, lots of time for those spa treatments. I am the spa queen, for those of you who don't know. So we definitely have those experiences, which are just so lovely. And Bali is like world renowned for their spa stuff. So we're in good hands.
Definitely found a fabulous one.
Oh yeah, that was so awesome because the villa manager had referred that. I mean, pretty much our villa, like, they just take care of us. I swear we had a staff of like 25 that was at our beck and call. Like, it was just really amazing. Okay, so again, plenty of time and space to completely let go and relax. So that's a photo of me, my back, as we're getting ready to dance. We do dancing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like reveling in the magic that these ladies were experiencing. And then here we are. This was Sandi's idea. She was like the little like creative director for all of our photos with Nora.
We had so many fun ones.
Yeah. And this room, I actually labeled the release room. So it was kind of like a really super air conditioned room that anybody could go into. So we all gathered here in our robes and took this amazing photo. All like blissed out. And then personal beachside goddess photo shoot to reveal your radiance. So like I mentioned, I hired a photographer, Nora, who's just so amazing. And she's even coming back to Bali from Australia just to be our photographer for this retreat. So I was blown away that she bought a plane ticket just to come back and be with us. And she was just amazing. She was like another sister. I swear, I don't know how I found her. It was totally intuition. She was the first photographer I even spoke to, and phenomenal. So part of the package for this retreat is you get a personal goddess photo shoot. So these are just a few of the photos of me. I decided to go a little crazy and do topless, which was terrifying and exhilarating all at the same time. There was like, I'm like, oh my God, am I going to get arrested? We're in Bali now. And I remember you guys telling me afterwards. What?
I would have been right there in the jail cell with you then.
Right? Yeah, Sandi was brave and did it too. You know, like, and it's not like you guys have to do that. If you decide to come on the Radiance Recharge, it's definitely about you doing what's going to light you up. And then you get all the photos afterwards electronically to use how you wish. So really good opportunity for women to be seen, right? Like to really be seen, and it's supportive. So a lot of women, when I talk to them about this photo shoot, they're like, oh God, they have something, you know, horrible to say about their body, or that they just, oh my God, that's terrifying to them. But I will say that the way we set it up is that we're all there supporting you, cheering you on, you know, reminding you how beautiful you are, like screaming like, oh, look at you, sexy goddess. And so you totally have the support. And even those of us who are maybe a little worried, like it ended up being just kind of this beautiful experience. Sandi, do you have anything to add?
It was just fun. It was about letting go and having the photographer capture the moments of just being in your bliss. And it just didn't require any type of attire for the photo. It really was whatever you want. Like if you want to be in shorts and a t-shirt for your photo shoot, do shorts and a t-shirt. It's all good. But her requirement was something that makes you feel beautiful. So whatever that is. And I decided to go a little edgy because I do overly critique what I look like in a bathing suit. And so I decided to just do it and stop overly critiquing. And it was, again, me going, hey, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to choose to do this all out. And ended up finding a couple of dresses in Bali, and the one that is that Jess used for the promotion of this webinar, that's a dress that I found in Bali, and it just was perfect. And red is my favorite color, and it, yeah, so you might find something beautiful there, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, we both did that, right? We both, because my first outfit was a dress that I bought. And there's this little market right by the villas that you can just walk out to, and literally like right next to the villa. So amazing. Sandy and I, when we come back on video, we'll show you our rings. We're both wearing our rings today, Sandy, that we got. Just amazing, beautiful, colorful clothing. It's like, you know, $7 American. It's pretty awesome.
I love how Larissa is trying so hard not to freak out in that monkey picture.
I know. Oh my gosh. So, okay. So we mentioned, Sandy had mentioned before, like the fun with the monkeys. So this is one of our excursions, is the Sacred Monkey Forest in Ubud. So we stay down by the water, which is in Seminyak, Kuta area. And the reason we do that is because I want the ladies to be able to walk to the beach in the morning. And like Sandy mentioned, they did that several of the mornings, which is so nice because it's literally the beach is right there by the villa. Yeah. And then the mountain, yeah, it's awesome, right? Mm-hmm. And then the mountain is Ubud, and Ubud is from, you guys remember Eat, I Love, that's where they was in Ubud for most of it. When she sees Kutut, the like healer guy that is in the movie. So in Ubud is also the Sacred Monkey Forest. So here's us, some of us. Jen was too scared to let the monkeys touch her. But it was really quite amazing. Like, if you're a little bit nervous, I was so surprised that, like, I thought that they would have, like, sharp nails. And they're, like, it feels like fingers on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, going, okay, they said just don't make fast movements. So right in that picture, I'm totally freaking out on the inside. But deep breathing, going, just relax, don't move fast. Don't move fast, they won't hurt you. Like it totally sucks.
Right. And it, like, if you don't want them to touch you, you don't have to. You can just, when you sit down is when they'll get on you. So we all chose to sit down.
That was great.
Okay. And then the powerful Sacred Holy Water Temple, which Sandy talked about, was like one of her most transformational experiences. So powerful. I lead, you know, a circle right before just to get us grounded and intentional. Water in general is transformational. And this is like, I think I just read, I was looking at the website for this temple. It was like 900 AD. That this temple was created. Like, that's how old it is. So these springs were thought to be like straight from God. The Balinese believe that. So there's a couple of local boys bathing next to me in the temple, which we thought was kind of hilarious. We're like, oh, there's the masculine, as we're like, you know, in the water.
How that showed up so often.
I know, yeah. So perfect. So just a beautiful experience. It was definitely one of my favorite moments as well. Mm. All right. And then after your cup is filled, so, you know, the first and foremost intention of this retreat is that you discover your deepest desires and you get support around shedding the shoulds and doing what you want to start doing to fulfill your own big, meaningful dreams. And one of my passions is that the reason that we do that is so that we can give back. So towards the end of the retreat, if you'd like, I organize an opportunity for us to go to a Bali orphanage. So all the ladies decided to go last year, and it was just so amazing going and spending time with these beautiful children.
It was definitely a beautiful experience.
Yeah, you really loved it, didn't you?
I did.
All right, and so obviously to connect heart to heart with a small group of amazing women like you who will be support sisters for life, truly. Like, this is an experience where you're longing to develop intimate relationships with other amazing women. Like, this is the place to do it, is on a transformational retreat like this, because as you can see, we're loving each other up in this photo, laughing, looking at each other's eyes. There's Sandy and I, oh my gosh, in the back hugging. So it's just a beautiful time. I lead lots of activities so that we connect intimately, because that's where I get my deepest fulfillment is through that connection. And then here we are on the last night. We are cheersing at our transformational dinner, celebratory dinner to close the entire experience. And I lead a ritual that night that's really powerful. So that is it. That's a lot. A lot of amazingness. So I will take you through. Sandi, I know, do you have to go? I know 2 o'clock was cut off.
I do have to run.
Okay. So I will just say, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much. I'm going to, let me come back and then I'll flip back and share the rest with everybody. Stop screen sharing.
Yeah, I just have to tell you how grateful I am for the experience and for the container that you create, and anyone who is looking for an opportunity to really get more in touch with themselves and their intuition, and to remember that they matter and they should be put first, so that they can then give more to others. This is the place to kickstart that.
Hey, that's amazing. Can you see me right now?
I can.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for being with us. For those of you, I hope you're inspired by Sandi's story. Once she gets off, I'm going to take you guys through a little bit more. If you are interested in Bali, just a few more things of what's included and how you can take the next steps. But I'm so grateful for you, Sandi. Thank you so much for being willing and vulnerable.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you. Bye.
All right, everyone. So I'm just going to finish up here by sharing a little bit more about the experience. So I'm going to go back to presenting. Screen share, entire screen. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, this sounds amazing. I'm so inspired by Sandi. I can totally see how this retreat would benefit me. So here is what's included in your investment, because you are so worth it. So I like to do these retreats all-inclusive to really help take the pressure off of you. So like I mentioned, it's 9 days in a luxury villa with your own private room, bathroom, and queen-size bed. We've got excursions to the beaches and the mountains of Ubud, where we'll go to the Holy Water Temple and the Monkey Forest and the rice fields. We've got the nurturing, luxurious spa treatments. Sandi shared a little bit about her amazing experience in the spa and in her in-villa massage. So you guys will have that opportunity. Also the private goddess photo shoot and access to all your gorgeous photos. Like I mentioned, all your meals, they're delicious, healthy, prepared by a private chef. And no, there won't be any green juice fasts. So a lot of Bali retreats are, like I said, yoga, green juice. We'll have lots of delicious, healthy food, but no fasting. We want you to be fully in your pleasure and nourished. We'll have the daily transformational group activities and coaching support to connect deeper to yourself, remove what's holding you back, and get clarity on your future. So on your next steps for your big, meaningful dreams. And don't worry if you don't know what your big, meaningful dreams are. That is part of the process of this retreat. Transportation is also included, because I know that can be super stressful. So we have transportation to and from the Bali airport to our luxury villas. And then pre-calls. So I really like to support you in the entire process of this transformational experience. So before we go to Bali, I lead 2 calls so that you can connect deeper with the women who are going to be your sisters, joining you on the retreat, and then guide you through how to set powerful intentions for what you want to receive in Bali. Okay, so like Sandi had set a very clear intention that she wanted her business to grow, that she wanted to get connected to herself, And both of those things happened because we got really clear that that's what she wanted. So I guide you through how to do that in our pre-Bali calls. And then we have 2 post-Bali calls to integrate your experience into everyday life. So some of the challenging part can be, right, like when you leave this retreat where you're in this amazing space away from it all, and then you go back home, quote unquote, into, you know, your reality. And that can be difficult after having an amazing experience. So I fully support you and all the ladies who go in how do you integrate so that it's a smooth process getting back into your life, and how do you actually continue that transformation like Sandi did and plug it into your life, so that you can reap the benefits of this amazing experience that you had. A lot of retreat organizers do not offer this, or they will charge you extra for continuing to receive support. So I built this in for these 2 calls to really help you feel like you're not alone, right, when you get back home. And then lastly, the optional visit to the orphanage towards the end of the retreat, so you can fill your own cup first and then share your love with the Bali children. So really special experience. And this kind of helps too, you know, like if you're like that giver, right, and you are really wanting to do bigger work in the world and use your heart to give, this is one of the ways that you can start doing that after we fill your cup and you really sink into this experience of putting yourself first. The only thing that's not included in your investment is airfare, and everything else is taken care of. So that is really, really exciting. All right, so you can come back to this page if you'd like to hear more from last year's attendees. You can watch these fabulous videos that I recorded of them reflecting on their experience immediately after the experience was complete. It was actually 1 a.m., I think, that night, because we had our amazing closing ritual. So literally they are fresh in the experience of transformation. Pretty neat to come back and watch these and give you just different perspectives of what each person got out of it. There was a common thread of transformation, confidence, feeling like anything was possible, and everybody's was a little bit different too. So it's good for you to kind of look, if you're curious if this might be for you, at what each person experienced, because one thing might ring truer for you. Just to read a few, Brooke says, this retreat far exceeded my wildest dreams. I never thought, being the strong woman that I am, that someone, Jess, could lead me through some of my broken pieces in such a way that I felt truly healed. It was just miraculous. Every time I read that, I'm just brought to tears. And then this is Larissa. Larissa was the other mommy that we mentioned that Sandi and I were talking about. She said, this retreat gave me inspiration in my life to trust in who I am, to be myself, to let go of fears, hesitations, and doubt. And this is Jennifer. She says, I was barely hanging on by a thread when I got to Bali. This retreat allowed me to shed the negative self-talk, my anxiety, my stresses, my worries, and just be able to be here in Bali and be present, and to really grow and embrace who I'm really meant to be in the world. So Jen is now, she's a meditation or mindfulness trained. She's a mindfulness, she enrolled in that course, which she'd been like holding off of. She just totally took action after she went to Bali. And she also attracted a man in her life very quickly after, which was one of the things that she wanted to do. She'd been years without a relationship and had some stuff from previous relationships that was really painful. So that was just so awesome to see that happen for her. I'll mention for Brooke, she got so clear on her big meaningful dream, which was that she wanted to go abroad and help people in other countries, women and children who were less fortunate than her. And she just has a beautiful, amazing story. where she just fulfilled her big, meaningful dream and went to Greece to help the refugees. And I just am so in amazement of how fast, in just like, I think 7 months, maybe 8, she made that happen. And it all started in Bali, where she didn't even know that's what she wanted to do. And she just kept getting beautiful signs while she was there through the transformational work that she did. All right, and then Sandi, who you just heard from, she had to get ready to go to the Vision Villas, like we were mentioning in this webinar. So she didn't record a video that night like all the other ladies did. But what she did do last year before she went was this beautiful video to talk about how she moved through money and fear to go to Bali. So you've heard a lot from Sandi already. One thing we didn't talk that much about on this webinar is how she got past the money fear. And that's because I wanted you guys to be able to just watch this video that she recorded last year. If you are having any money fear come up yourself, Sandi's, what she says in this video, one of the lines is, if I were to be thinking logically, this is the wrong time to be spending money to go to Bali, much less taking time for myself. And yet every part of me is saying that is what's right. That is where you need, this is what you need to do. And so I'm taking a leap of faith. And as you see, because Sandi trusted and she made an investment in herself to come on this transformational retreat, she's now making more money, right? She's sustaining herself. So that's the way it works, right? When you take this leap of faith, you invest in yourself, the universe will invest back towards you when you are taking those actions. You have the confidence and the clarity to move forward towards your big, meaningful dream. So come back and watch this video of Sandi. Also on this page, you'll find all your questions about Bali answered. And then you'll find a little bit more about me that you can read about. Just a few kind of key things that I'd like to point out. I already mentioned that I did this retreat last year. It was phenomenal. That's why I'm doing it again. I have been in event production for over 15 years. Excuse me. So I definitely know how to produce an amazing transformational event. I've been doing it for a long time. I used to do leadership training for managers and corporate executives. And I worked for the world's most profitable airline as their culture and engagement manager. So I know a thing or two about travel, you could say. I've also been to several international countries. I've been to France, Italy, Peru, Prague, Bali last year, of course, when I produced this retreat. And I just love, love, love travel. So those are a few things about me. I also have been interviewed on NPR as for my work supporting non-traditional methods of self-help and empowerment. So if you really like that really deep spiritual work, that's what I specialize in. I've also been featured on live TV as a me time expert on the local Las Vegas business news show. And I was named one of Las Vegas's top 5 empowered women entrepreneurs in Luxury Las Vegas magazine. So those are a few things about me. If you have any more questions about me, I would definitely be happy to answer. You can just email me, jessica@jessicatomlinson.com. I'm going to come back to you now and then let you know if you are into really wanting to take the next step in your own transformational journey. Your screen sharing stuff. Okay, so we are back. If you are wanting to take the next step in your own transformational journey, if you're really feeling like you want some support in shedding the shoulds, in letting go of these harmful expectations, releasing emotional blocks that are getting in the way, getting clarity around your deepest desires, maybe you don't even know what they are, and discovering your big meaningful dream, and really getting the confidence and the clarity to move forward with those big, meaningful dreams, this is a retreat for you. So I would love to explore and see if you're a good fit. So I don't accept everybody because I want to make sure that I can help you first and foremost, and that you are committed to your own transformation on a really deep level. So I love to connect deeply with women and to have these conversations and to explore if not only Bali is the right thing for you, because like I said, Bali is really just a bonus, right? Like it's this beautiful location, but really this is about the deep inner work and allowing me to guide you through that. And of course, seeing this beautiful island, the really letting stuff go, like Mother Earth and Bali, that island is so powerful. Connecting with other women, indulging in beautiful, delicious food, having a gorgeous photo shoot where you get to truly be seen and step into your own inner radiance. Like, these are all the things that you're desiring. Then I want to have a conversation with you and explore the possibility of you coming on the Radiance Recharge retreat with me and the other amazing women who are already journeying and who will be journeying to Bali with me. So the way that you can do that is you can go to the radiancerecharge.com, the website that I was just on, or I'm going to pop in on the side. You will see an image of Sandi, actually from her photo shoot. Oh, so gorgeous, right? Where you can hit that apply now button, and that will take you directly to the application form. It's a really quick, simple form. I think it's like 5 questions, just to get you kind of like thinking about what Bali could do for you, what this transformational experience could do for you. And then I will receive that application directly. It's confidential. I won't share it with anyone. And then you should look for an email from me. And in that email, I will say, yes, I'd love to jump on the phone with you, or no, you know, you might not be a good fit. And I just use my intuition with these things. But what I don't want you to do is to hold back. Like, what is keeping you from taking this next step? Ask yourself that, because usually it's something like money, or it's something like I don't deserve it, or it's something like, oh, I'll do it later. But my question for you is, if not now, when? If not now, when? So take that leap and click apply now if you are feeling like everything that I described is resonating with you and you want to explore this transformational retreat. And I look forward to receiving your applications. I cannot wait to connect with you. And what that looks like too is after I send you an email, if you are looking like you could be a fit, I'll send you a link to my calendar and we can set up, it's usually about a 1-hour call where I get to support you in getting clarity around what Bali could be like for you and the magic that it could bring to your life during this transformational retreat. So Hula, you are here. I'm in tears sitting over this bag for Bali. I came to the webinar late after listening and watching. This has just empowered me even more. Awesome, Hula. Thank you for being here. I love that you came on late. So wonderful. Yay for empowerment. Yes, you deserve this. And, you know, as women, we hold ourselves back. Like I mentioned, the money thing, right, is a big one of like, oh, I could be investing this in like a car or a house. And that's like security stuff, right? And the thing is, that stuff at the end of the day, like when we die, are we really going to be saying, I wish I would have bought that car. I wish I would have got that house for my security? No. What we're going to be saying is, I wish I would have spoke my truth more. I wish I would have gone after my desires. I wish I would have had these amazing experiences and seen more of the world, right? Because that's really what it's all about. And so I don't release the investment for the retreat simply because of that reason. Because I don't want you to make a decision based just on the investment, right? This is for women who are ready to make an investment in themselves and who are able to see that connection of that investment in themselves is more than just the money. This is like your sanity, your life, your next level of spiritual transformation. And like Sandi said, right, she had that money fear come up, and look what happened for her. She invested, and the universe paid her back tenfold, not only in her personal development and her life, but in her business as well. And now she's making lots of money in order to support herself and be stable. So I just ask you to be open to that. And to understand that that's the reason why I don't share the retreat investment, because it really doesn't matter if it was like $1,000 or $10,000, and it's not 10,000, by the way. But no matter what, our minds love to make things make sense, right? And make decisions based upon that. So I need to make sure you are a good fit as well. I wouldn't be doing you service if I didn't believe that this retreat could help you and that I could support you. And you also need to get to that place within yourself. And the way we do that is by you applying, by us getting on the phone to have a conversation and explore. So I am really, really grateful for you all to be watching this, to be here, to be open to the possibility of this experience. I know how hard it can be to remind ourselves that we are worthy. And I ask you to lean into me, right? Like 50% way. Like I can meet you 50%, but you got to come the other 50% and make this decision on your own. So again, you can hit that link on the side of your screen that you should be able to see that says apply now. Or you can go to the radiancerecharge.com to watch those testimonial videos again, to look at everything that this retreat provides. I'm just typing in the chat box the website for the retreat, radiancerecharge.com. And you can find the button to apply, to have a conversation with me, to explore the possibility of you coming on this transformational retreat to Bali. All right, loves, thank you so much for hanging with me, for your beautiful brilliance, for the big heart that you have. Keep taking care of yourself, and I look forward to speaking to some of you very soon. Have a beautiful day.